Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jerry Hardcastle, as introduced, responsible for vehicle engineering in Nissan. I'm also from Yorkshire, and it's the first time I've ever been introduced as somebody who is part of the Round Earth community. I hope I can live up to the expectation. I'm here to talk about the challenge that Renault and Nissan as an alliance have faced in terms of introducing the electric vehicle. And I think I've got around about 8 minutes to explain how we invested 4 billion euros. So around about €500 million a minute. So quite an expensive speech. But what caused us to do that? And as was mentioned, with regard to Siemens, our board of directors were looking at what's going on in the world, and we don't profess to be experts of climate change or urbanization or anything like that, and we gather information from all kinds of committees, and we listen to all kinds of arguments as to whether CO2 is really harmful and whether there is global warming and things like that, but we don't profess to know. But when we look around, we can see something is changing. There is something going on with the climate, and the population is increasing. And we know that the urban population is now 50% of the population for the first time ever. And we, as engineers in the automotive industry, quickly look at data and facts, and today the population is around about 6.7 billion, probably 7 billion was announced during this week. And that gave a car park of around 600 million cars. So this is the car park that we're working in. But when we look forward to 2050, the population is estimated to be 9 billion. And I'm not going to argue with you if you tell me it's 10 or even less. And the car park is going to be around about 2.5 billion. A huge increase in the car park. And so if we continue to sell, gas-guzzling, high CO2 cars, if there is some relationship between the car now and CO2 and global warming, then in 2050 that relationship is going to be even bigger and possibly even worse. So we set about, as a company, reducing our long-term CO2 emissions from our vehicles. And the governments gave us some indication across the world that they wanted to reduce CO2 emissions by about 80%, and then it changed to 90% by 2050. Again, we don't have to worry about the odd 10% here and there. A huge challenge to reduce the CO2 from well-to-wheel emissions. If Nissan was going to take part in that and contribute to that, then we had to make some changes to our products. And the first product that we would have to change is the internal combustion engine, and we will do that. And like every other car company, we will improve the efficiency of the internal combustion engine. But if that's all we do, with all the technology that we know today and some that we could guess for the future, we'll probably achieve 35% reduction, not 80%. And we could go to hybrid electric vehicles, and if we apply all of our engineering knowledge to that, possibly we could achieve the 50% reduction in CO2. If we go to electric vehicles, then we can push that efficiency improvement possibly to 60%. But we still can't achieve the 80% that is required. And that can only be achieved if we power those electric vehicles by sustainable energy. So all of a sudden now, our contribution is something, but it's not everything, and we need to create partnerships in order to deliver this high target or challenging target of 80% CO2 reduction. We will develop internal combustion engines, we will develop hybrid electric vehicles, but in the boardroom we asked where could we be number one, where could we lead? And diesel engines, you can argue, but say it's Volkswagen. Hybrid electric, possibly no argument, Toyota. So we'll do those, but we wanted to be first somewhere else, and we chose electric vehicle to be first. And so that was a board decision. The question we had to ask ourselves, is the technology ready? Well, we looked back into our archives and we discovered in 1947, Nissan created an electric vehicle. running on lead-acid batteries. It was called the Nissan Tama. I don't suppose anybody in the audience has ever heard of it. Most of you have never seen it, but if you read the paper that's just been published, you will get a glimpse of what it looked like. It's no surprise it wasn't a success. But in 1996, we really started to challenge the development of the electric vehicle, and we realized if we were going to do it, then the absolutely essential technology was the battery. So we started development of electric vehicles and batteries. And in 1999, we had developed quite a large cylindrical battery that looked like a battery that you might get in a torch or something. And we had an electric vehicle running on that. But it wasn't effective. And in 2005, we had the real breakthrough where we managed to challenge the laminated battery. And when we got to the laminated battery, suddenly we could achieve the energy density that we needed, and we were away with the development of the electric vehicle. And that led us to developing the Nissan Leaf. And the Leaf is on sale now, and I'm sure there'll be questions about it later. But the Nissan Leaf's a real 5-seater hatchback, a real car, an electric car, powered by batteries, electric motor, inverter, a range of about 160 kilometres, easy to maintain, zero tailpipe emissions. So we've brought that to the market. We couldn't have done that without strategic joint ventures. And in order to do that, Nissan had to partner with a chemical company. We'd never done that ever in our lives before. So we partnered with a chemical company, NEC, and through that partnership, we managed to develop the battery. And recognizing that after the battery's finished its life, we need to find a reuse or recycle of that battery. We've also made a partnership with Sumitomo in order to do the second life of the battery. That has given us a platform to launch the vehicle, but again, we couldn't launch the vehicle on our own because an electric vehicle, there was no infrastructure, or in some countries there still is no infrastructure. And so we had to partnership with government, with utility companies who we'd never talked to before, with IT companies, and a whole host of new suppliers and new fleets in order to promote the Leaf and bring it to the market. So we've done that, we've created those partnerships, we're now building a completely new business model which is somewhat different to the business model for the internal combustion engine around producing batteries, taking care about sustainable energy production, looking at the recyclability and reuse of the batteries, developing specific IT solutions for the vehicle, to lead cars, to the charging points, all things we've never done before. And that's left us with a leading position globally now. We've sold 15,000 Nissan Leafs. It is the highest selling EV in ever, so we're proud of that. But the challenge we've now set ourselves is, between Nissan and Renault together, is to have 1.5 million EVs in the market cumulatively by fiscal year 16. And that's the challenge that we're now facing as a corporation. Thank you.